That's
Hi.
it.
Hi, guys.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good.
Hi, Mara. I've never met you before. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you over Instagram Live. It's nice. The bond. So I'll just get started and introduce our live. So hi everyone who's tuning in. Welcome to this week's Q&A session with some of our Aldabra team members. We have Emma and Maria on call. So please feel free to send forward your questions at any time in the comments. Each question ends as a 300 rupee, $23 donation from our sponsors. So the more questions, the more you help us fund the Aldabra school trip, which takes place every year. So send as many questions as you can and we'll try to get through them. And obviously you have the Aldabra team live. So I mean, you can ask them anything you want. They're on Aldabra right now. So feel free. And yeah, just want to thank our sponsors, firstly, for helping making this happen. So we have MCB, and Wireless, Savvy Insurance, Starcourse Insurance, and Space 95. So thank you, everyone. And I'll leave Emma and Maria to introduce yourself and what you do at SIF.
So hi guys, my name is Emma Medelik. I'm the Assistant Science Coordinator here on Aldabra. And I've been here for approximately a year. And I am part of the research team, so we do a lot of monitoring and just overseeing a lot of external research projects.
Hi everyone, I'm Maria. I'm a research volunteer and I'm also covering for the shopkeeper right now. So I'm involved in all the research work here and also I'm running the shop at the moment. And I've been here since December 2019, so just short of 2 years now.
Yeah, that's great. If you guys want to know what's in the shop, now we can find out because I don't know. So we have some questions. Actually, we have around 13 from last episode that we can try and cover. Well, we should cover, and then we can get on questions for. So, first one is: are there any invasive plants on Aldabra?
Yes, there are. At one point, there was at least 70 introduced plants to Aldabra, so that doesn't necessarily mean that they were invasive, but they were introduced, so they weren't native. But most of them have either been eradicated or just naturally disappeared because of the inhospitability of Aldabra. But we still have some invasive species such as rat tail, rosamer, or oh, I forget now the name in English. And Casuarina quisetifolia, which is actually, it's a bit of a debate with that species because some people think that it actually belongs here because it's widespread across Pacific and Indian Ocean islands. But on Aldabra, it's mainly on coastal areas that were frequented by early travelers. That's where the older trees are, and then it's spread outwards. So there's a lot of people that think that it's not actually native to Aldabra and it was introduced. And it shades out the vegetation below it, so no plants can grow underneath it. So it causes a lot of concern. But plants, they struggle to survive here because of the lack of rain and the inhospitability. So there's not so many, hopefully.
Yeah, that's actually good news. So I don't know if you guys were here during that time, but during the Aldabra cleanup, where was most of the debris originating from? And I feel like you still have that issue now because there's still so much debris on Aldabra. So where is most of that coming from?
Well, for the cleanup project, I think the area where we collected most of the debris was Junjalui. So the ACUP project, it was covered over 3 sites. So we have Junjalui, Jundemes, and Senkaz. All of them together, I believe we removed 25 tons of marine debris with the project. And I think it's estimated that there is about more than 500 tons left on the atoll right now. But the main area where there were most marine debris collected was Jinjuanli.
Yeah, but where do you think it's coming from in terms of the source?
Oh, okay. So the source, I think from the research that was done by April, they found out that they actually came from Southeast Asia and the east coast of Africa. So it's mainly from that region. And a lot of plastic bottles, I believe, came from China as well, with the labels still on them. So
That's,
yeah.
that's a lot of traveling. April, if you're here, please comment if you have any addition. So how does the SIF head office validate for Fedina support management of Aldabra?
Well, we're very reliant on head office, definitely. If we didn't have head office, we wouldn't get any supplies. VDM also, I think, produces most of the money for SIF and with the tourism, or at least they used to before COVID.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is now. Yeah. So that money is also used to run Aldabra. Anything about Fundraiser? I'm not sure.
For Ferdinand, they were just added to as being managed under SIF recently. But I guess what we share with for Ferdinand is that relationship with other rangers, especially now when we have Ranger Day. And there's always that link between all the sites. So I mean, they support us in that way, like communications between rangers and things like that. Yeah.
And I think we did cover the Ranger Day in the newsletter, the one that just came out. So if you go into our bio, we have all of our rangers who did a little blurb about what they do as rangers. You can check that out. Oh, this is like kind of like a heated question. If someone comes with an idea to have a cruise, Seychelles business, which can open opportunities from Seychelles to visit Aldabra, how would you feel about that? Like a cruise coming to Aldabra.
Oh.
Sorry, it got a bit cut there, but I think I understood your question. I think we would all love it if more Seychellois could come on cruise. Was that the question, that cruises come with particularly Seychellois, right? Yeah. Yeah, I think everyone would love it. I've heard a lot of people talk about that actually in the past, you know, that it's a shame that the majority of the visitors that we get are from actually quite far, and the local community has very little chance of seeing this place.
It's true.
Apart from eco trip. Since I've been here, there's been very few tourist vessels because of COVID, but I've only met one Seychellois couple that came on the visiting vessels. And it was really special for everyone. Everyone was really happy. But yeah, it's a bit of a shame, isn't it? It'd be really nice if there was another way to welcome the local community.
Definitely.
No, just to make it affordable, I think.
Yeah, exactly, definitely.
But I think also to add to that, I get why you said it was a heated question, Mara. We also need to think about our ecological footprint, I guess, when cruise ships actually come here. So I would love for more Seychellois like me to be able to come and enjoy this place, but we also need to think about maybe sustainable ways for them to visit. So if that cruise company does like have the idea, maybe we should use like sailing boats and things like that, you know, and just to reduce our footprint here.
Yeah, like a sustainable traveling option for locals. And then come help as well. I think that would be great to get more people involved in helping. So next question. What conservation action would you like Aldabra achieve in the next 10 years?
Well, for me, I guess, most of us here would be rat and cat eradication, because this has been like a really big problem and it's very hard as well. But I think SIF is taking the right steps in the direction for rat eradications, but that's something that I would love to see in the coming decade, I guess. But also on my side, because I am, like, I studied marine biology, and there is a lot that we don't know about the marine environment here on Aldabra, mainly because of logistical reasons, like not enough staff and funding, etc. But there's just a lot we need to learn about manta rays, sharks, the whales. There's so much, so I would like to see like SIF go into more in that direction, into more marine research.
Something I would add, but it's a bit of a different take on it rather than like the research, and I'd like to see the station become more waste free, which is it's really difficult. Especially it's really difficult to do it in a way that is affordable for the residents and for SIF. But it'd be really nice to be able to not have huge buckets of plastic every week that you have to take to the bin, you know. And not just plastic, but it'd be really nice to be able to run a more eco-friendly station as well.
I agree. That would be good, and I feel like 10 years is like achievable for us to make steps towards that direction. How does the Aldabra team get their supply, and how often? What are the challenges in transporting it?
So we get supplies. We have 2 supply boats a year right now, around April and November time, and that brings the bulk of the supplies. So we get basic food such as, you know, lots and lots of rice and flour and cooking oil, and also lots of biscuits and drinks and stuff, but also construction materials and fuel and gas. And then we also have planes that bring staff on and off Aldabra during the northwest season, so between November and April. And those planes can also bring, to Assumption, they can bring extra supplies. And then also there is the visiting vessels, whether they're tourists or researchers, that sometimes also offer to bring us some stuff, which is very helpful, particularly when it's been a long time without anything. And the challenges with it, there's obviously biosecurity, which is a huge challenge, and on the part of head office, that's a huge work. It takes a long time. You have to go through everything very carefully and pack things really carefully so that once you've checked it, nothing can get into it, which can also create problems in, you know, through transportation in terms of rotting, just the maintenance of the produce itself. And then once it gets here, we have to check everything again and make sure that there's no hitchhiking threats that could be on things. So
yeah.
I guess like to add to that, probably some logistical challenges, because the team on Mahe, at head office, they work really hard, because we make a list and then they have to get what's on the list, and sometimes it's really hard to source them, especially if it's international. So big thanks to the team at head office, everyone. Thank you so much for the supplies.
They might be on live now. So, what type? Sorry. Next question is, what type of birds are on Aldabra, and have you received any migration?
So we have a lot of birds. We have 13 land bird species, of which 3 are endemic species. We have the Aldabra fodi, the Aldabra drongo, and the white-throated rail. We also have a lot of seabirds. We have 2 species of frigate birds, a lot of terns. We have the red-footed booby, which is probably the most abundant seabird. Migrating species. This year, we haven't actually seen that many. We've had a yellow-billed kite for a year.
Sure.
He arrived in September 2020, and he's still here. So I don't know, you know, he's become a bit of a residence. Just the one. And he's always around the settlement beach, and we see him catching the turtle hatchlings from the beach, and just on his own. And then there was a pied kingfisher sighted on Aldabra for the first time, and I think it was the first sighting for Seychelles, if I'm not mistaken, the first record for Seychelles. And it's really interesting because it's a species of bird that's not migratory, so it shouldn't be coming through here. It's a sedentary species. So that was quite special.
Is it still?
Otherwise, last year we did see, sorry, Mara, go ahead.
No, is it still there?
No, it was only seen for about a week, I think, a couple of times.
We also see some wagtails. Huh?
Yeah, it's true. We saw a white wagtail recently, and last year I remember seeing a black kite and a spotted flycatcher. Yeah, so they do come around.
Yeah, we have like visitors. They don't stay. Be a problem if
They don't
Um,
no, it's so hot.
so I have the next question is how many islands are there in the Aldabra Lagoon?
Okay, so in the lagoon, there's four main islands I can say. There's Ile Esprit, Ile Michel, Ile Moustique, and Ile aux Cèdres. These are the main ones, but we also have other little islets in the inside the lagoon, but we don't really know how many there is because there is so much.
Oh,
Ile Esprit actually is believed to be the highest point of the volcano that actually formed Aldabra. And it's believed the crater is buried 500 meters maybe under Ile Esprit. So that's the oldest point. That's pretty cool.
the more you know that. That is really cool. Oh, what are your favorite activities living on Aldabra? I know you guys do a lot of fun activities.
It depends on your mood, you know. Sometimes the favorite thing is to go diving. Sometimes the favorite thing is to go kayaking. Or I really love just snorkeling because it doesn't require, you don't have to, you know, have a boat and a skipper. You can just walk out and there's Basfen, the channel that's close to the station. And it's so accessible and very little commitment, you know, you can go in and get out when you're ready. And you always see things. You always see really cool things. So that's, yeah, maybe snorkeling would be actually my favorite.
I mean, same as along the line as Maria. I guess snorkeling and diving are two of my favorite activities here, just because I love being underwater and just the coral reefs here is so amazing. So many species of fish and ray, like Maria said. You can go to the same spot, but you see so many different things at the same spot every time. So yeah.
That sounds great. What are your favorite monitoring programs?
Well, for me, I would say, man, I'm so biased about the ocean, huh? I would say the the ARM program. So that's our reef monitoring program, where we have 12 sites around the atoll and inside the lagoon as well. In total, we have 12 sites, and we just go diving in Northwest season where it's calmer. And we assess the health of our coral reefs. We see what kind of coral species are there, fish species, and we take photos underwater. So that's always my favorite because it seems like you're just on a nice day out diving, but you're actually working, you know. So that's my favorite.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I would also add the really calm monitoring programs like turtle tracks in the morning. You just walk down the beach and you count all the emergences of turtles, and it's just the best way to start your day. And also phenology. I really love doing phenology. Just going on your own and looking at the plants, you know, you spend time looking at each individual plant to see what it's doing. Is it fruiting? Is it flowering? Is a rat chewing it? Is there some fungus on it? You know? And it's really nice. It's a really calm moment to your day, you know?
Yeah, I feel like we don't talk about
no, but it's really nice.
Yeah. If you guys have questions.
Yeah, I would also say. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just telling them if they want to know more about phenology, please ask questions about some phenology on Aldabra.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if you guys would notice. I don't know when the last time there was one. What exactly is taught during the eco school trip?
Well, So during the eco school trip, the kids come here and they learn about everything that the ranger do here, and also field research officers. So we teach them about the plant species, the bird species, doing turtle tracks. So they have like a mentor ranger that they can pair up with and teach them how to do all these things. They also go to camp, so they go like to one of the best spots on the atoll, which is Middle Camp. So they go there and they go snorkeling, swimming, and like just looking at the frigate beds, identifying them. But they also do fun stuff like they play volleyball, football, they do really nice little paintings around the station. So yeah, definitely we need to raise more money for this eco school trip because we need them to come back. They bring so much life to the atoll, so I mean, yeah.
And please ask more questions so we can bring the kids back. Because like honestly, I feel like it's really beneficial. It helps future environmentalists, especially like sexual environmentalists, to come work in conservation later on. Oh, another question is, what jobs are available on Aldabra right now?
There's definitely shopkeeper, which I'm covering. What else? I think there's some ranger positions.
Yeah, I think for logistics, we need a new carpenter, a skipper, like 60 nautical mile license. We need a marine mechanic, a shopkeeper, like Maria said. And for the research team, I believe we need another field research officer and another ranger. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, actually. So just to everyone's info, if you're interested in working on Aldabra, we have a carpenter position open and deadline is 4th of October. Then we have senior marine mechanic, skipper, cook, gardener, maintenance / logistics, shopkeeper, and field research officer and ranger, which close on the 20th of September. So all the details are on the page, on our Facebook page. So if you want to apply, link is in our bio. Come work on Aldabra with Emma and Maria. See, this one is like helping and incentives. So what is your favorite place on Aldabra?
It's really hard. I've been asked that before, and I noticed that it definitely changes on my mood. I could say Lagigi, which is really close to where we live, but there's, that's where the channel is. So you can look out into the open ocean or into the lagoon, and there's always birds coming in and out. You can see things in the water. You can see the waders feeding around. There's always so much going on there. But then also, I love DDM, Dune de Metz, being on top of that dune. You look at the ocean and it's super rough and really aggressive, and then you turn around and you can see the really calm lagoon and all the vegetation, and it's really, really special. And then the frigate bird colonies, which are like, they look like pepper in the sky, Yeah. Emma?
Oh, man, this is like the hardest question because there's so many amazing places here. I could say my veranda because when I sit outside my house and I'm looking, outside, I'm just like, I'm seeing all the kestrels flying, all the buoys, the frigate birds.
Hold on, the internet cut out a little bit. Can you just repeat that, your veranda?
Yeah, I mean, I could say that my veranda is my favorite place on Aldabra because it's overlooking, the ocean, and I have like all these birds flying in front of my house, all the tortoises just eating, the coconut crabs there. But then, like Maria said, like the frigate colonies, they're unreal.
Yeah.
It's exactly like, it's even better than the photos that you see,
Yeah.
And Middle Camp, I mean, who doesn't love Middle Camp? It's the best place to be. I can't really pick one.
No, it's really hard.
I feel like that's like everybody keeps saying that, like, what's your favorite place? Like, I can't pick. Sorry, I can't. So this is kind of similar. Question. I'm done with the questions from last time, so we're jumping into this live question. So, what's the best part about being on Aldabra?
The best part of being on Aldabra. The best part. Well, the thing is, every day is really different. Every working day is really, really different. And you can do the same monitoring and it'll be totally different than the last time that you did it because you could see different things and the weather makes things different too.
Yeah.
But also then you finish your working day and there's so much you can do. You can just go and sit on the beach and you'll see things. You can go sit on your veranda, like Emma says, and you'll see things. You can go for a quick snorkel and you encounter loads of little creatures that come and take a look at you. And there's always something to do, always a way to distract yourself. It's almost impossible to be bored here,
I think my best part of being here is just like being surrounded by probably the most pristine environment that you would ever be surrounded by in this day and age. I mean, we have this just a little part of Pika where we live, and that's like where most of the construction is. Other than that, there's like no human, impacts on the other areas. So I feel like that is the best part for me, just being surrounded by this pure like nature environment. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is kind of similar. Like, what does a typical day for you look like?
A typical day. Well, because we have so many monitoring programs, I mean, every day is different, like Maria said. But the day usually starts off with turtle tracks in the morning. So like from 7 to like 8:30, you just walk along Settlement Beach and you count the number of tracks, how many turtles went up the night before. And then usually we go back to the office, we have office work, and depending on what we have to do, we either have to go to Lagigi to do tropic bird monitoring, to go to Settlement Beach again to do waders, phenology, like Maria said. We tend to do most of our field work in the mornings though, because it's very hot in the afternoon. So afternoon we're usually in the office. But there's some days that you have to be in the field in the afternoon and you don't have a choice. So that's fine.
Yeah, everything's site dependent. So if you have
Yeah.
to go into the lagoon or anything, you have to go when the water allows you to go.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to go at 4 p.m. even though you're not supposed to be working anymore, and that's just how it is because we're governed by the tides more than the time here.
Yeah. Oh, I have to say, Jeremy, hi, and was following up on the A-Cup originating from also the regional fishing industry, which was something we touched on in the last live. Another question. I don't know if you guys might know this, but are there any research findings on the Kokudeme?
Ooh, research findings.
Yeah.
I mean, we are not like too well versed about the work being done at the valley.
Yeah. Do they mean like research? Recent research findings.
Recently, there hasn't been, but there is an exciting project happening for Kokudeme. I think we talked about it in the newsletter for July, if I'm not mistaken. There's gonna be Kokudeme, and if you have questions for our endemic species like Ofedina and Validem, we can definitely do another live with our, and maybe they can answer some of your questions about that. So let's move on. Everyone's joining, but enough questions, guys. We need money for the kids. So
Hashtag bring the kids back.
yeah, that's Jeremy has said hashtag bring the kids back. What are the most abundant plant species on Aldabra?
Plant species.
Plants.
Pemphis.
Yeah.
Pemphis acidula.
Pemphis.
I probably say it in a Spanish accent. Pemphis acidula.
Oh.
So it's a scrub that grows on coastal areas. Some people refer to it as mangrove, but it's not actually a mangrove species. And I wish I remembered what percentage of Aldabra is covered by Pemphis, but it's a lot.
Yeah, it's mostly pamphis.
And it's really, really dense. So when you think of Aldabra, I think most people think of, you know, the more open habitat of sankas or the mangrove areas, and actually mostly it's really, really dense pamphis.
Pamphis are our worst enemies here, especially like when doing field work, because like Maria said, it's very, very dense and it's really hard to get through.
And it's hard to cut as well.
Yes.
It kind of
the machete just bounces back.
So if you're trying to get through, it's quite hard. But there's also a lot of mangrove, a lot of mangrove habitat here.
Yeah, we have 7 species of mangroves, and I think the red mangrove is the most abundant here. So, yeah,
takes a full.
That's a great answer, guys. I'm gonna let you know. So, question: what has been a highlight of your South?
A highlight of our selfies.
Yeah.
Highlight of selfies.
Okay, I have to think, but actually,
I know hers.
I just saw, like, it was my first sighting of manta rays, like, in my life, and I've been waiting for so long, and finally, was it yesterday?
Yeah, I think so.
Yesterday, I finally saw 6 manta rays, so that was, yes, finally, almost a year of waiting, but it was so worth it. And I think, like, that was the highlight, maybe, of my Southeast, but also seeing the hammerhead aggregation, because last year they saw hammerheads, the 75 individuals.
Yeah,
about
we
75.
couldn't see the end of them, so
yeah,
we don't know how many. But
we saw it. They saw it on the 14th of July, and this year we saw 2 hammerheads on the 14th. But then last week, no, 2 weeks ago, yeah, we saw an aggregation of like 6 or 8
or something. It was really cool because we were at the office and then we just looked out of the window and you could see some really big dorsal fins just beyond the reef. And then we all just got the binoculars out, and Martin, another ranger, got his drone out, and then it was just a group of hammerheads that were just traveling south. And it was so cool that you could see that from the office.
And it's like around the same time, so this makes you like so excited. What's going on out there? You know, like there's something going on at that time every year. So we need to find it out.
Yeah, we tried. We went on the boat later that day when the water allowed, and we cruised around the reef to try and see them, but we couldn't see them. But we did see some sort of ray jumping out of the water. That was really exciting.
Yeah.
Like, there's something.
Yeah.
But yeah, the picture, it looks amazing, and I don't know if Martin is on the live, but thank you so much for getting that. Like, it's amazing. Just posted it today. So a new post, like it, ask your question and then go like it. Next one is, being so far away from main island and so isolating, how do you stay connected?
Being so far away from the main island, how do you stay connected? I mean, it's really hard to I don't know, because when you're so isolated, there's something that like I feel like prohibits you from getting into like in connection with other people on the mainland. But we have internet, and I guess like when we're not busy, we just try to message our family and friends to stay connected, because it's easy to forget that there's another world out there. You know, you just get so lost into the Aldabra way of life that you tend to forget that, oh, there's Mahe there, it's busy, and I have friends and family that I need to let know that I'm still here and I'm still well. But we just try. I don't know. It's a bit hard.
Yeah, it's also hard because for at least most of us, our families haven't been here, which could be fixed if we found a way of getting local community over here and some affordable transport. But yeah, so it's also hard because it's hard to relate sometimes. You know, when you're talking to your friends and family, it's hard for them to understand what life is like here, and sometimes that can also put a bit of a gap, barrier. But you could also say, in a play of words, that it helps you stay more connected with where you are.
Yeah, definitely.
With the people here, you know, in the place. And Yeah.
Yeah. So next one is, if you had one wish for Aldabra, what would it
One rule?
One wish?
one if you had one wish for Aldabra, would it be?
That's very hard
That's a very hard question.
to come up with. So
Well, I mean, off the top of my head, like I'm still gonna go back to the rat eradication.
Yeah.
Just wish that there were no rats, just to see as well, like how nature, like how the environment would be without them, you know, because we'll see more birds because they do eat like the eggs and everything. So I don't know. That would be my one wish, just for Aldabra to return back to how it was, or maybe not back, because we don't actually know what's gonna happen, but just to another state that's not one that has been affected by rats.
I would say, because you said wish, I think rat eradication will happen. So I'm not going to call it a wish.
Nice.
A wish would be that climate change won't destroy as much of the earth as it could, and that Aldabra would stay, you know, above the water, and it will survive whatever challenges climate change is bringing. That would be my wish.
Yeah, I think we all wish that, and we are gonna talk more about, you know, climate change on Aldabra. I think next week's live we'll have more Aldabra people, but we'll be speaking a lot about climate change on Aldabra. So please come to that as well. So next question is, are there extreme daily differences in temperatures, like hot days and much cooler nights, or is it like mostly? Here it's been crazy.
I would say it's quite different. To me, the nights are really, really cold, and the days are quite hot. But I don't know I guess that's relative. I think the difference is about 5 degrees between day and night, isn't it? So a lot of people would think that's not very much of a difference, but it feels like it.
I mean, definitely. And I feel like during Southeast, you experience it more just because it's really dry because you don't have a lot of rain during the Southeast. And during the day, it's really, really hot and windy as well. But then at night, it's like super cold, especially at 3 and 4 a.m.
Yeah.
It's really, really cold. Well, not really cold, but you know,
relatively
cold.
Yeah.
So it can get like around 21 degrees sometimes, which I feel like for a tropical island, it's, you know, fairly cold.
It is. I feel like it is. I mean, even on mine, I'm pretty sure you guys have maybe colder times. So next question. Climate change poses a threat to Aldabra. How exactly does climate change threaten Aldabra, and what is affected?
Sorry, Mara, you cut off a bit.
Yeah.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Okay, so it's gonna be like 2 questions. Let me just go to the first one. So climate change poses a threat to Aldabra. How exactly does climate change threaten that all?
I mean, climate change threatens the atoll in a lot of ways. If we think about all the different areas that are under climate change, for example, sea level rise. I haven't been here long enough to really gauge about like what sea level rise has done, but I spoke to the island manager like a few days ago, and he was just letting me know of like how the beaches around has changed. It usually does, just due to change in seasons. But he said that like more erosion has happened like during the time that he's been here. So I relate that to sea level rise and maybe stronger wave power and things like that. But also because we're really, really far away and we haven't looked a lot into like the effects of climate change on Aldabra, which we are actually doing now for the CBI, if I recall correctly. I feel like now we'll be more able to gauge the effects of climate change, sea level rise, on changes in salinity. But we also have to think about coral bleaching and the effects of increased temperatures in the ocean.
Also, there's probably going to be, not probably, but more storms might start coming. You know, cyclones have started being around the area, which they didn't used to be, and that can be very destructive. Just the unpredictability of the weather, you know, it could affect plants and how they flower and fruit, which then affects invertebrate communities, which then affects the bird communities, and it just cascades down. So everything could be affected, and the plant and animal communities might not have a chance to adapt because it could be so quick and so unpredictable, you know. So who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? And that leads us to the next question, which is, what can we do to protect it?
Well, I mean, first of all, I would say educating ourselves more about climate change and the importance of, you know, environment and being ecologically like more conscious. But also, you know, taking initiative like participating or helping other NGOs or organizations that help to raise awareness and do research into climate change and the impacts and things like that. So I guess education, yeah, is one of the key things that we have to do. But also, I believe that Jeremy said that in the last time, obviously pushing the government and, you know, just trying to get to the right authority and trying to get them to take action as well. Because this place is not just for Maria and I. It's not just for you, Mara, not just for SIF, but it's for the world, you know. So we really need to push like the proper authorities to just take action.
All over the world, you know, it's everyone, and it's gonna take a different form for every person, you know. Every person can change something that will be different to how somebody else would do it, you know. Some people might change their diet, some people might change how they travel, some people might I don't know, start donating money to certain organizations. You know, it can take so many different forms, but like Emma said, I guess the baseline is that we educate ourselves and that we take responsibility to what we do instead of thinking, what can other people do, you know? What can I do? What am I doing that I could do differently? And like she said, you know, like getting in touch with your local politicians and push them, ask them questions, you know, see how far that can go, and get involved with your community, because a group of people can, you know, it ripples out like water, so you never know how far of an impact that can have.
Yeah. So question is, why did you choose to work on Aldabra?
Well, I think for me, I feel so incredibly fortunate, you know. I'm not even Seychellois, you know, and I've had the chance to be here. And you know, there's so much to learn. This is the thing about Aldabra as well. It's your position is constantly evolving. You're constantly learning new things, new skills, and that's something that's really special about this job as well, which I didn't necessarily find in other jobs, is the chance to grow, you know, and the chance to adapt to the new things that you're learning. And why, you know, like how could we not want to be there if we had the chance to be here?
Well, for me, it's along the same lines, but also maybe to add to that, I love, like, I don't know, I love the marine environment. And since as a kid, you know, you've always wanted to come here to Aldabra as a social worker, you see all these amazing photos, and you're just like, is this place real? Because I want to go there. So I chose to come here because, as you guys know, the marine environment around here is one of the most pristine around the world, and I want to be part of the team that helps to protect this area that is very important, not just for us here, but for the region and for the world as well. And also for my personal growth, I guess, like Maria said, being like here isolated from other people and just having to go through so much in so little time, you know, it's a very useful, I don't know, just experience that I don't believe that I would ever get that experience anywhere else, you know. It might be different, but yeah, I feel like that was my motivation to come work here.
Yeah. Next question is, this Aldabra Research Station has celebrated 50 years in a running, what are some of the personal research that you would both love to see happen on Aldabra in the next 50 years?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Sorry, Mara.
Our internet
The internet's cutting.
Wait, which part? So basically, given that we've just celebrated 50 years in the running, what are some of the personal research that you would love to see happen on Aldabra in the next 50 years?
What is some of the personal
Research.
Sorry, Mara. We didn't catch you. I'm sorry.
Sorry, internet is not that great.
So just basically not eradication, just in terms of research, what would you like to see happen?
Okay, research that we would like to happen. Like Emma said, the marine world of Aldabra remains very unknown. We do the yearly surveys, the reef monitoring surveys, and the brubs, baited
Remote underwater
videos. But it seems like just teeny tiny drop of the ocean that we're actually seeing, that we actually know about. So it would be really cool if the research department in the marine side of things could develop. That'd be really cool.
And also one more thing, I think about seabirds when I think about like the 50 years to come. We do a lot of surveys with tropic birds and frigate birds, and we just started doing things with the red-footed boobies. But there's so much that we don't know about, like where do they go, their movement around the atoll and things like that. So I feel like tagging them in the future, like projects around that should be implemented more, just to know, where are they going, what are they doing?
Like they do on with the ring. I don't know, like that GPS. I think maybe a GPS system or something. That would be cool, I think.
Yeah.
So this is related to the marine. Have you seen an increase in coral bleach on the coral?
Well, since I've been here, I haven't seen any bleaching. So when we were conducting the annual marine surveys, I didn't see any bleaching. We have our marine researcher here on station, and she did her PhD around the coral reefs here in Aldabra, and she found out through her PhD that the corals here have actually, recovered after the bleaching event that happened in 2016. So inside the lagoon, we had a higher number of recovery, which was like 93%, I think. It was 93% recovery inside the lagoon. And outside the lagoon, at our shallow survey sites, which is 5 meters, there was 50 to 70% increase, recovering corals. So I guess now the coral reefs and the corals here around Aldabra are recuperating better because of the environment, and it's more pristine. There's not a lot of human pressure, etc. But that doesn't stop climate change from acting and sea surface temperature increasing and thus affecting our corals in future times to come. So even though we don't see bleaching now, it doesn't mean that it won't happen.
And the more it happens, the less chance of recovering the corals have. So in order for them to recover, it needs to be a one-off bleaching event, which is not what's currently predicted, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I know we're talking about sustainability, Maria. What are some of the sustainable innovations that you would like to see happening or being created for Aldabra?
Some of the sustainable ways that we could make Aldabra better. Well, I think of the shop, there's so many supplies like biscuits and cheese and meat and things that come wrapped in plastic and nuts and stuff. I mean, for a lot of this, there's no other way of doing it. But it would be really nice if things could come in you know, in bigger boxes and jars, and it was more of a, you bring your own container and you put what you want and you weigh it and you take it home, and then you don't have to constantly have a bin full of plastic. And also the where the produce comes from, you know. We have so much beef that comes from Brazil in our freezers. Obviously there's not much beef that you can get from Seychelles, but you know, if you could get different produce that is a bit more local and a bit more sustainable, and that can also at the same time maybe help the local community. Although, I mean, again, Seychelles has to import so much of what it has, but yeah, that's the main things that I think about is the shop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Emma, do you have anything to add to sustainability?
I was thinking, I mean, there were talks about getting an incinerator, but like a green one, so that we can, you know, compact and get rid of our waste in a more sustainable way. There are talks around that, so that's something that I would personally love to see in the future. Just like we take care of our waste here on the atoll, because when they get shipped back to Mahe, you know, it doesn't get sorted out properly. Even though we do sort out all of our rubbish here, like plastics, cans, etc., etc., it doesn't. When it goes to Mahe, like it's something different happens. So that's, I guess, something that I would like to see in the future, a way to just manage our waste in a sustainable way.
Yeah, I agree with both of you, and I think also, you know, hard to make our more sustainable when our main islands are not even close to sustainable. And I think there are ways that we can go about changing that. Yeah, and that would help out.
Definitely.
Question, this is a fun one. So if you could be an Aldabra animal, which one would you be?
An animal.
Yeah, an Aldabra animal. Which one would you be?
It's really hard.
I mean,
I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna say maybe just one of the seabirds, you know? I would love to see what they see when they're just flying around. I mean, frigate birds can travel like 1,000 kilometers, you know, on flights. And also not the frigate birds, but the other birds that get to dive into the water and then see what's under the water once they dive, you know? It's just, they just get to see coolest perspective and you know, the best of all worlds, it seems. So probably a seabird.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm along the lines as Maria, because I want to see what they see flying so high above the atoll, you know, and the birds that can actually dive, like Maria said, they get to see what's underwater. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds. But other days, I just want to be a tortoise.
Yeah, just stay in the shade, just eat a bit of grass.
Yeah. So easy, you know. So yeah.
What are your most unforgettable experiences so far since being on the atoll?
For me, it would probably be the hammerhead aggregation from last year when we were going out diving and we saw some big dorsal fins, and we all jumped into the water, and it was just like a skyscraper going downwards of sharks. You couldn't see the end of the sharks, you know. It became blurry before you could see the end, and there was just so many just traveling and not minding you whatsoever, you know, just all of them with this one, you know, collective aim, it seems, you know. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I already mentioned the manta rays, but now just thinking, I feel like the best experience I've had is actually getting here.
Oh, yeah.
Because I came in Northwest and it was such calm weather, and we went through like inside the lagoon past the West Channels. And it was the most amazing sight, like seeing so many turtles, just like zooming in front of the boat, the sharks, like the black tips. I've seen photos, but it was real, you know? So it was just,
It's true.
it was just mind blowing.
Like the first time you see the beach in front of station with all the black tips, the first time you go into the lagoon and there's just turtles everywhere. It's hard to, like, you know, you constantly want to be surprised, but you have to stop being surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds very surprising to me, but I can't even comprehend. I think we'll take like the last today, which is actually the last question that's come up. But if everybody wants to keep sending questions, I'll make note until we're done. So how do you handle your organic waste, and do you do any composting?
We have tumblers where we put our organic waste, and it creates a compost that we use for our garden. So we have a garden where we grow as much as we can, which is mainly the peppers. They grow really well. But then we also have tomatoes and some cabbages and sometimes cucumbers or aubergines and chilies. So we use it for the garden.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty good. I just feel like, oh yeah. I mean, if anyone has any questions, please send them. If you don't have any right now, you can send them through our messages, and I'll make note for next week where we will have our next Instagram live based on climate change. And we'll have our Aldabra team. So we'll have Emma back for another session. And then we'll have our Aldabra science coordinator, Luke, and then our marine researcher, which is Anna as well, right? So yeah, that's really exciting. Questions about climate change and Aldabra are welcome. Aldabra works really closely with the Aldabra Reef Monitoring Program, so that's really interesting to know. And I'm just gonna say a quick thank you to our sponsors who are helping us out, making it happen. Thank you so much to MCB, Cable and Wireless, H7, Akos, and Base 95. And guys, I don't know what you want to say goodbye. Thanks to everyone for coming.
You go. Okay. So once again, like Mara said, we would like to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors, because this is a very, very like important thing we need to do to educate, to get the kids here and make them Aldabra, you know. And I would like to thank like Saya for coming up with this initiative as well, and everyone who asked the questions, because you know every question we get 300 rupees to add to the trip for the kids to come here. So thank you guys for your questions and for viewing this. Yeah, it's been great to share like my experience here on Aldabra.
Yes, everything Emma has said, I won't repeat it, but yes, I mean, just it's probably the most important thing that we're doing, showing the kids of Seychelles what this place is and what there is to protect, and what their country has, and how important it is that we all develop a way of protecting this place. So thank you for everyone. Thank you everyone for everything.
Yeah.
So thanks so much everyone. See you next week, Monday, time, same day. Different people, except for Emma and me. But
except for me. We'll be here again.
But yeah, thanks so much everybody. Thanks so much Maria and Emma for making the time to attend. And we'll leave you to relax for the rest of the evening. Okay? All right. Bye everyone.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.